Prabha Khaitan Foundation is a non-profit organization based in Kolkata dedicated to promoting literature, performing arts, education, gender equality, and women's empowerment. With a deep-rooted commitment to cultural enrichment, the foundation curates a diverse range of initiatives that bring together voices from across the artistic and literary spectrum. From engaging author meetups and prestigious book launches to thought-provoking panel discussions and literary festivals that welcome both emerging and established writers, the foundation fosters a thriving literary landscape. Beyond literature, it celebrates artistic expression through boutique festivals and captivating performances by singers, dancers, and theatre artists. Through these initiatives, Prabha Khaitan Foundation continues to preserve cultural heritage, spark meaningful conversations, and create spaces where creativity and expression flourish. Now, it is my utmost pleasure to introduce our guest, Ambassador Omar Castañeda Solares. Ambassador Omar Castañeda Solares is a career diplomat who joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Guatemala in 2005. With extensive experience in multilateral affairs, he has held key diplomatic roles, including Minister Counselor and later Deputy Permanent Representative at the Permanent Mission of Guatemala to the United Nations in New York 2009 to 2022. He played a central role during Guatemala's tenure on the UN Security Council 2012 to 2013, particularly on African issues, and served as Vice Chair of the UN Fifth Committee and Executive Board of UNICEF. He was appointed Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Guatemala to India in December 2022 and presented his credentials in February 2023. Ambassador Castañeda Solares holds a master's degree in international relations from Complutense University of Madrid and a bachelor's in political science from the University of San Carlos of Guatemala. He is fluent in Spanish and English and has studied French and Arabic. Beyond diplomacy, he is also a trained radio host and enjoys water sports and cultural pursuits. Today's conversationalist is Ms. Apra Kuchhal, the Honorary Convenor of Rajasthan and Central Affairs of the Prabha Khaitan Foundation and the Ehsaas Woman of Jaipur. Apra actively supports cultural and literary initiatives through her leadership roles. Without taking much of your time, I give the floor to both of you. All yours.
Thank you so much, Dipali, for such a beautiful introduction. Namaste and a very, very warm welcome to each one of you sitting here. It's an absolute honor for me to be in this conversation today as we celebrate over 53 years of diplomatic ties between India and Guatemala. This is a journey of friendship, shared values, and mutual respect. I speak not just somebody who is fond of Guatemala, but also who has got an opportunity to walk on the cobbled street of Antigua, see some beautiful markets in Guatemala City, enjoy some spices in Guatemala, and danced on some music there. So absolutely an honor. Thank you so very much, His Excellency, for agreeing to be here today. It is absolutely my privilege. I would like to begin with a simple question, Your Excellency. As we mark 53 years of diplomatic ties between India and Guatemala, how would you describe the current spirit of this friendship between the two nations?
Thank you so much, dear Ms. Rachna. For me, it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm so honored and privileged to be invited by the prestigious foundation Prabha Khaitan. And I had the pleasure to meet you some time ago, yes. Actually before you went to Guatemala. Yes. And first of all, I want to say congratulations for the good work that this foundation is doing.
Thank you.
You and also like all the honorary conveners are doing a fabulous work, particularly when it comes to strengthening literature, education, promoting and assisting social projects, and also, very important to say, I was so impressed when I saw your website because one of the main aspects that you are also pursuing is the empowerment of women. So congratulations to you and congratulations
Thank you so much.
to all the different conveners for such a great work that you are doing. The bilateral relation between India and Guatemala started in May 16, 1972. 53 years of a relation that has been strong. But it became to a point in which is much, much better and stronger when both countries decided to open their resident embassies. India opened its embassy in Guatemala City in 2010, and Guatemala did the same in 2014. Since then, the relations have been stronger. But in the past, even before we opened the resident embassies in our respective countries, the relation was also very good. Not only in terms of development, but also both countries have looked forward to strengthening peace and security in the world. India is recognized by being one of the most important troop contributing countries to the peacekeeping operations of the United Nations. And both Guatemala and India, we are embarked on this important task of the UN, working together. We both, for example, have troops in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And in that place, in that country, that's still unfortunately being affected by conflict in some of the areas, both Guatemala and India are doing a good job. So this relation is cooperation, is friendship, is culture, of course, that has been improving the last years. And also the Embassy of India in Guatemala is doing a great work promoting the diversity and the culture of India.
Yes, absolutely. And I so agree with you, His Excellency, Your Excellency, because when I was in Guatemala, I realized that there were a lot of similarities between India and Guatemala. When we talk about women empowerment, Guatemala is another country where women play a very, very significant role. They have played a very, very significant role. There are many women-led businesses which are in Guatemala, and the way women are engaged in day-to-day lives, it is very similar to our country. So, Ambassador, I'd like to ask you, what role have women played in the Guatemala's development, and is there any room for collaboration now between the Indian entrepreneurs, the women entrepreneurs, and the women entrepreneurs from Guatemala?
Well, women have always played an important role in our country since the Mayan civilization. Many, for example, of the important gods, goddesses, and empresses that were part of the history of our country in the Mayan civilizations are women. And in our case, I have to tell you, since a long time ago, we have seen how the leadership of women has been very strong. Unfortunately, there was a time in Guatemala from 1960 and 1996 that we were in a long civil conflict that happily ended. Those days are gone, happily. But during those difficult times, many women were the leaders in their communities, and one of them is probably you know much better about her, is our Nobel Peace Prize, whose name is Rigoberta Menchú. Peace Prize, Nobel Peace Prize of 1992. She is an indigenous woman coming from Maya Quiché origins, and during those difficult times, she voiced the injustices that were committed against the indigenous communities. Later on, the Nobel Committee considered her the Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts, and this also sparked that many women in the indigenous communities of Guatemala particularly have taken very important roles. Many of them are managers, many of them as administrators, many of them in the private sector and in the government. And I have to tell you that I feel so proud that my president, President Bernardo Arévalo de León, at the beginning of his tenure, he said clearly that he wanted to have a gender parity in the cabinet. So he decided to have this parity in the government with women ministers and men ministers, of course. So certainly, I think also, but this is something that I will have to confirm, I think also in the country we have more women than men. But certainly I have to say the role of women is very important, and I'm so proud to say also that we have a vice president. Her name is Karin Herrera. She is a biologist, a very prestigious biologist that is leading efforts also in the country, along with the government and the private sector, to strengthen also the role of women in the different areas of the society in Guatemala. And certainly, as you said, well, there are many opportunities in order to strengthen also not only the culture, the work and lessons learned of different areas. I would say that we have to work a little bit more on that, because there are some programs that many women in Guatemala have come here and participated, particularly with institutions from the government of India, and the results are amazing. They're working in different faculties of engineering, in universities, in law schools, and all what they have learned in the different trainings here, sponsored by the government of India, also are very good. So they are working on that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, there are many women-led schemes running in that country. Women get a lot of benefit out of the government programs. And I also saw that there is a lot of support system for women, and men are keen to support the women of the house. And I think, being from India, such a thing is something which even we respect as Indians. As you talked about the Mayan civilization, there is a very interesting, mythology tale, wherein they say that the Mayan civilization and some tribes in eastern India have a lot of similarity. There are roots, somehow they had come here, or people from here went that side. Even the kind of religious ceremonies are there. Again, we can draw a lot of similarity. Do you see any cultural or philosophical similarities when we talk about these ancient civilizations? And how have you gone to preserve the culture? Because in the Antigua city, the museum there, when we'd gone there, I think, very beautifully they have preserved the smallest of things. So what steps are being taken to preserve? Because the country is very small, still there is a lot of preservation that is being done there.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Well, we are not so big as India. The territorial extension of Guatemala is approximately like the size of Tamil Nadu, if we make a comparison in terms of sizes. Our population is 17 million. I think it's the half of Delhi's population, right? Well, but that relation, I mean, despite being 16,000 kilometers away from India, the relation is good. And of course, we continue working, and we have learned many things from our Indian friends and colleagues. With regard to the Mayan civilization, of course, there are many, I would say, there are many points of interconnection between the Mayan civilization and Hinduism, I would say, with the Vedas specifically. I was some time ago visiting the south of India, Kerala, and I saw the beautiful and majestic temples over there. And also in Tamil Nadu, there is a very impressive temple that is called Meenakshi Temple, which is very similar to a temple that we have in the north of Guatemala, which is the Pyramid of the Great Jaguar that is located in the city of Tikal. So Tikal is a national archaeological site. It's also a preserved park but also is a UNESCO heritage place that is inscribed in the list of heritage of the world. The Mayans have a kind of a different, I would say similar but different in terms of nuances, but it's a cosmovision that was also including the views of the relation of universe, the soul, the body. They have also studies about predicting some phenomena in the universe, particularly the eclipses. They were predicted by the Mayans many years ago. It was a very advanced civilization for the time, similar, for example, to the other pre-Columbus civilizations that we have in the American continent, which are the Aztecs, located basically in Mexico, and Incas in Peru. But the Mayans occupied what is today the whole territory of Guatemala, the south of Mexico, parts of El Salvador, and also parts of Honduras, and some areas also in the neighboring country of Belize. We have to work on that, looking for more information about the relation between the two civilizations, because there was a very important meeting in 2005 in which my Nobel Peace Prize attended with some of the Hindu leaders in Guatemala. And it was so interesting to see that they have similar thoughts, similar prayers, similar views also in terms of preserving Mother Nature, and of course, keeping those very ancient techniques for health, like for example, in the case of India, like the Ayurveda, and other ones that are much better for whole and comprehensive health. So there's a lot of work to do, of course, to see and to find ways to see the connections between the two civilizations. And I'm sure during my time here, we're going to continue promoting with my colleagues that interconnectedness between the Mayan and the Indian civilization, for sure.
Thank you so much. And let's request the ambassador to show us the beautiful, the PowerPoint presentation, because he just spoke about the temple, and we have some amazing pictures there.
Thank you so much. I think I want to stand up here, and oh no, you can stay there. Yeah, Chetna, yes. But I just want to go to the next one. This is not touch, right? Or right here, okay. Okay. Oh, then if you can help me with that. Thank you so much. Yes, well, this is a recent visit of, the next one, please, of a minister, Honorable Minister Pavitra Margarita, that visited Guatemala last year. He had a visit with my President Bernardo Arevalo. The relation, of course, with India, and it's very important for us. 53 years have passed, and my president is very interested to strengthening the ties with India in many different areas. Can we move to the other one? We, as you know, in a bilateral perspective, we have bilateral consultations. And in 2023, my former Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs came to India for having a third round of Foreign Office consultations. She is here with Shri Raj Kumar, who was during that time the Secretary East in the Ministry of External Affairs. And also she gave a conference about empowerment of women in Guatemala, an approach to equality and development in the ICWA. Yeah. The next one, please. Her Excellency Ms. Lina Nandan, Secretary of Environment, visited Guatemala in 2024. Guatemala and India also have a very I would say, natural treasures, fauna and flora, and they signed an important memorandum of understanding on the conservation of tiger. We don't have tigers in Guatemala, we have jaguars, but it was, at the end of the day, are big cats. So they signed this important agreement for the conservation of tiger and jaguar in May 2024. And more recent, the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Guatemala, in charge of Trade and Commerce, His Excellency Mr. Julio Orozco, also visited India for the 10th India, Latin American and Caribbean Conclave. So during that time also he had a courtesy visit with Honorable Minister of State for Trade and Commerce, Jitin Prasad. This is a historic picture for us that we value because this was for the opening of the Embassy of Guatemala here in India. My former Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Carlos Raúl Morales, in October 14, 2024, met with late Minister of External Affairs of India, Her Excellency Sushma Swaraj. We remember her. She was a leader, a Nate leader that also remembered in several times when she was at the Security Council and India was participating there, her words about empowerment and equality and for the peace of the world. And the other one, please. And this is something what I was talking to you about the similarities that we have between the Mayan civilization and the treasures that we find here in India in the different temples. This is our archaeological site of Tikal, which is in the north of Guatemala. The city now is a national park covered by jungle, but very well preserved. And this pyramid of the Great Jaguar is also very similar in terms of the different stairs, the elevated towers, the structures with the crests in the top and the gateways, very similar to the ones that we can find in Tamil Nadu here in India. So this is part of what I want to share, but I think we can go later. Or should I go? Continue? Okay. Thank you. Yes, Chetna, please. Thank you. Well, long time ago, in 1969, this photo was taken in the Economic and Social Council. Both Guatemala and India were also voicing the importance of development for peace. And as you know, the ECOSOC is one of the main organs of the United Nations. And in 1969, former Ambassador Samar Sen and also former Ambassador Maximiliano Kessler from Guatemala, they were elected as chairs and vice chairs in the Economic and Social Council. In one of the main sessions that actually transformed the Economic and Social Council as it is right now, because this is the body or the organ where all the different UN agencies report to. UNFPA, UNICEF, United Nations Development Program, they report all of them to the Economic and Social Council as it is right now. And that other photograph is very important because that was one of the starting sessions of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. And you can see, for example, I'm sure you recognize one of the leaders there, that is Ms. Sharifa Hamid Ali in the left. And in the right is Ms. Sara de Monzon from Guatemala. It's interesting how do you see this picture, because the photograph just took that picture, looking for two women leaders that were very active, establishing what is right now the most important commission that defends the rights of women in the world. Yeah. In the meantime, I think we can go, well, now that you pass it, thank you. This is, no, the next one, and we can make a stop. And this is one of the main pictures of the first approaches between Guatemala and India. Here, of course, late Prime Minister, Ms. Indira Gandhi, with Secretary General U Thant in the center, and the President of the General Assembly in this, I think it was in the 49 period of sessions, Mr. Emilio Arenales, who at that time was the ambassador of Guatemala to the United Nations. Yeah. Now we can continue with more.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sedna.
Thank you so much. It was really very interesting. Yeah, so we left with few. We can do it after. Later. Yeah, later. Yeah, so we'll start from here only. Both India and Guatemala represent the voice of the global south on platforms like the United Nations. Where do you see the strong alignment in our positions, Is it climate, or is it food security, global equity? What is your view?
Well, both Guatemala and India are members of two important groupings at the United Nations, two mechanisms of negotiations, which are the G77 and the non-aligned movement. India, in both of these groupings, has historical roles, and in different sessions of the United Nations, both India and Guatemala have advocated for more development, more justice. Of course, that has to be the basis for peace, for long-lasting peace. In that context, I really have to say that my government was very grateful that the previous year, we were invited to participate in this new formats of the Global South meetings, when India had the presidency of G20. I think this is a very important initiative that India took, because as far as I remember, and verifying the history of G20, there was no before any other meeting. Usually the club of the G20 was no tackling or addressing what was happening to many countries in the South. So that initiative that India had is something that we appreciate. My former Minister of Foreign Affairs participated. My current Minister of Foreign Affairs also participated, as well as my Minister of Health. And during these conclusions is important, for example, the principle that India sent, which is, help me with the pronunciation, please, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Yes, I hope I did it good. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah,
very good. Yes.
Which means encompassing everybody. Yes, yeah, including everybody in the views of the most important economies in the world, because at the end of the day, as like happening during the pandemic, nobody was safe. Not even a big country, developed or not developed country, was safe. We were at the end suffering from that terrible illness that happened, but at the end of the day, the cooperation helped us all. So certainly that's something that with the Global South we continue working. Yeah. Thank you.
Guatemala is very rich in beauty, biodiversity, agriculture, while India brings a lot of technology and innovation to the table. How can the two countries collaborate effectively for mutual cooperation? And there has been a lot of work going on between the countries. But where do you see this kind in the next 5 years?
Well, I think one of the main aspects that we are working right now will be, for example, as you said in the previous one, the cooperation for food and security, which is important for the rest of the world, and we're working together on that. As troop contributing countries, as I said, both countries all the time at the UN, they voice the importance of peace and security, no intervention in any internal affairs of any other country, and of course, to be really countries that can give a hand and a help to those countries that are affected by conflict. Yeah. Right now, there are several ways. I would say the three areas of cooperation that we have with India, which is the political, the economical, and also development, are very strong. The bilateral relations always become, I would say, much more important for having the basis of supporting each other in international forums. Guatemala, for example, has supported the change and the reform of the UN Security Council. India can play, of course, as a permanent member, a very important role in the United Nations Security Council, because it's a configuration of the past, of the post-war era. And in that context, for example, certainly with the support of each other, that is at the UN, at the different organs, and in a bilateral prospect, we can continue working together. But I would say, for India, I understand it's very important, the peace and security, because it's a country that has a more important role nowadays. And certainly in that context, we are having a good relation and supporting many of the efforts that India has.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. Also, India is one of the largest importers of the Guatemalan cardamom. Oh, yes. And beyond this, what are the other sectors for greater economic cooperation? Tourism, textiles, Because of course, there is a lot of exchange of textiles also. Again, lot of similarities between the embroideries and the textiles. Last time when I'd visited, the office of the ambassador, he was very kind to gift me a very beautiful cushion. And yes, the embroidery is again so very beautiful, very, very delicate. So, yeah, what are the other sectors you see?
Well, we have approximately right now, in terms of our exchange trade with India, approximately 500 million. My colleague, Mr. David, is here. He is in charge of the different aspects related to the commercial relation. And we're importing a lot of machinery from India. We are importing also
solar
pharmaceuticals,
panels.
some solar panels. The pharmaceuticals in India are very popular in Guatemala already, yes. Since 10 or 15 years ago, they're very important. And people consume it because they are also affordable. There are other aspects, for example, the different important brands of India are already in Guatemala. I would not mention them because I don't want to miss any one of them, but many of them are already in the market. We are exporting here to India a lot of wood, teak wood, cardamom, as you said, that is more concentrated in the north or in the south in some areas. Coffee also, yes. Textiles as well, and there is some of the bigger factories here in India are importing aluminum scrap. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. So this is somehow like the main products that we have already in our exchange trade between Guatemala and India, which is growing. Hopefully, soon we're going to be signing an agreement which is called JETCO. And with the JETCO also the investments and promotions of our companies, both companies will be much more protected in the short term. So no matter the distance, for example, we receive a lot of the information regarding colleagues and friends that want to travel to Guatemala to see what is the market. Yes. And of course, the invitation is open for anyone to come to visit us in the embassy, and of course we can provide you the information that they need. But we see a lot of Indians going to Guatemala to visit for tourism, but also to explore the market. Because the market in Guatemala is not, we are the large market in Central America, but the region is, for the Central American region is very close. For the south of Mexico, to Panama, it's a region that basically we consume similar products. And of course, that will be of great interest for Indian investors. And I'm sure, for example, as many of them have invested in the past, many of them, they would like to visit the region. We have to improve a little bit what is the air connectivity.
Yes.
Because it's a little bit far.
Say that.
Air connectivity is a little bit far away. We could be 22 hours sometimes traveling, but the easiest way, I would say, is going to the United States from New York, and New York there are direct flights to Guatemala constantly. This is the easiest way to go. But with also other colleagues in Central America, we're working with the Ministry of External Affairs to see how we can work and improve the air connectivity for the benefit of both regions.
Yes. Yes, the connectivity, as I was just mentioning to Dipali before the session started, it takes almost 22 hours, and yeah, it is a long flight. Before we, get on to the presentation, I would like to ask a question on the education and the youth exchange. How do you think, and what do you think, is there a possibility for greater academic partnership between the two countries?
Well, usually these arrangements are made through memorandums of understanding between the ministries of external affairs of both countries. However, we have seen that in the past, India, for example, has supported a lot of different IT laboratories in universities in Guatemala, particularly in the University of San Carlos. And that's a way, for example, of including young people into activities that are attracted, because I think all the young people are attracted to all the social media already, and computers and phones and everything that is related with the sector of IT. So India is working in that with us, and we are trying also to see in the future how we can improve a mechanism of cooperation so that professors in different fields can travel to Guatemala, not only about IT, but also history, education, mathematics, and all the different subjects and sciences, so they can come to Guatemala more frequently in the level of professors or at the level of professors of so they can teach and go and present conferences in different universities in the country and show more about the culture, the traditions, and the work that India is doing in the world. That's, for example, precisely where we have to improve the air connectivity. Everything takes to another point because despite the distance, there is the desire, the wish to bridge the gap and find ways to make the cooperation more fluid.
Because yes, the younger generation is extremely keen on innovation, entrepreneurship, startups again, you know. So there is a lot of, they seek that kind of knowledge, and there could be a great way that there's some partnership could be developed. So we can have the next few slides.
Thank you so much. With your permission, thank you, Chetna. Oh yes, thank you. This is the other one. Well, this picture shows a little bit of the cooperation and good partnership that Guatemala and India have had in the past. I'm sure you know very well who is here. He's the Minister of Oil and Petroleum now, Hardeep Puri. Yeah. During that time, he was Ambassador of India to the United Nations. And here is former Ambassador of Guatemala and former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Gert Rosenthal. This picture shows a visit that they went to Haiti, the Republic of Haiti, meeting with the Prime Minister because there is a UN cooperation, a UN mission over there, and they were both India and Guatemala during the biennium 2012 and 13 visiting this country that has been affected by conflict for many years. And here, that was, I think, in September 2012. During that time, Ambassador Hardeep Puri Singh was the president of the Security Council. And this is a very eloquent picture because you can see all different countries that were elected, and there are no permanent members in that picture. So they were discussing about if it was a conference, a press conference that was related to the situation in Palestine during that time. But Guatemala and India, in the Security Council that we worked together in 2012, 2013, in that biennium, we worked together very hard, and a lot of achievements were made in terms of the peacekeeping in the world, particularly with our operations. The next one, please. She is our Nobel Peace Prize, Ms. Rigoberta Menchú, with a former ambassador of India in Guatemala. She went for a visit, and she's an admirer, of course, of the great father of this nation, Mahatma Gandhi, participating in some of the activities that were organized by the Embassy of India in Guatemala during that time. And the other one is the Nobel Prize in Literature, 1967, Miguel Ángel Asturias, who visited India in 1956 or 57 for a Pan-Asian conference of academics and writers. He wrote, he passed away sometime after that visit, but his wife wrote a beautiful book that is called Memory of My Memories, inspired also in the visit that they made to India, which was a wonderful visit, according to the narrative that they have in the book. The next one, please. And this is something that I have to share, and I want to thank also the former ambassador of India in Guatemala, because he did a research about some of the Indian population that came a long time ago to Guatemala, and they are living in the Caribbean coast of the country. Here it says, Raíces Indias en Livingstone, which means Indian roots in Livingstone, and Livingstone is in the Caribbean of Guatemala. Many of them have come to the country like a century and a half, and their descendants are still living also with their traditions, close to the sea. Many of them are fishermen that are dedicated to the work and the traditional work of fishing in the Atlantic Ocean. Can we put the other one, please? Some of them, for example, were coming from the state of Kerala, and some of other ones, according to this report, were coming also from Kolkata. And you can see in that side a little Taj Mahal. It's not so beautiful as the one that we have here in India, but it's a replica in one of the cemeteries, and they wanted to keep their traditions. And during Holi, during Diwali, and during the different festivals of India, the embassy calls them and convinces them for having and celebrating their roots. But they are already incorporated, of course, in the Guatemalan society. We love their traditions. We're so happy to have them. And they keep also, with some kind of nuances here, different the food of India, which is delicious, but the one that are taking, for example, from the sea. I remember there is a famous fish from Kolkata, it's called hilsa. Yes, hilsa. And they try to do it. I don't know if we can find hilsa in Guatemala, I'm not sure about that, but they use it, and this fish, they cook it in the way that they did it, yes. The next one I think is done. That's it, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chetna.
I think that was really very interesting. So, the chili and tamarind in Guatemala is, the dishes are so similar, and as we saw these pictures, how popular is the Indian culture, the films or the festivals, in Guatemala? And how about the Indian population who are there in Guatemala?
Well, we have, according to some statistics, some Indian population that came recently, and they have established laboratories, pharmaceuticals in Guatemala City, distributing also for Central America. We have also this Indian population that came also, and they settled in the Caribbean of Guatemala. But happily, many of them participate in the different activities that are organized by the Embassy of India in Guatemala, Holi, Diwali, and also those traditions are taken into the Guatemalan society. I have many friends that are telling me now, or that told me recently, oh yes, I celebrated the birthday of my son or my daughter, and we brought the Holi party. They left the house with a lot of colors, as you told me, and it's okay, so nice to see that, because the traditions of India also are coming part of the Guatemalan traditional birthdays. The festivals are, of course, celebrated by the Indian community, but are taking much more relevance nowadays, particularly in Guatemala City and in Antigua, which is our colonial heritage city, yes. In terms of food, well, you tried some of the food there. Like 5 years ago, we only had like 3 or 4 restaurants. I think now we have more than 15. Many
15
of them,
Indian
yes,
restaurants.
Wow. In different places of Guatemala. So the Indian delicacy and cuisine is going to different places in the country and in Antigua and in the rural areas. So it's becoming much, much more popular, as well as the traditions. But that's thanks also because the work of the embassies also, as we, for example, my embassy here works very well with bringing some of the traditions that we have. We have a festival that is called also the Semana Santa, the Holy Week, which is very important for us. And we usually organize it before the Easter week. Mm-hmm. So it's a kind of a festival of colors, traditions, inherited also by Spain, but at the same time it's a syncretic festival because it also takes into account the Mayan traditions. We have other ones, for example, similar like the ones that you have in Goa, which is a festival of kites. We have also similar kites, like the ones that they take up in Goa, and I think in another state of India.
Yes, Ahmedabad and Rajasthan also.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Gujarat
and Gujarat,
and Rajasthan.
yes. So that's also part of the similarities of our culture. I have to say I'm very happy when my Minister of Foreign Affairs told me you are going to India. I said, I'm so happy to go. Thank you for that opportunity, and thank you for that privilege. Because I know how nice, how heartwarming, how good friends Indian people are. I met many of them when I was serving in New York. Diplomats very well committed to their country, of course, with all the dignity, the capacity, and the professionalism to put their country in the best possible moment and in the way that they can project it as a peaceful country as you are. And when I told them, I remember, I'm going to India, that's my next post after New York in many years, they told me, oh, we'll be so happy, go everywhere, you'll have a lot of time and a good time there. And they were so kind also to give me many of the main tips to be here, which are very helpful for me, because this is such an interesting country that I love, that I have it in my heart. I still looking for it, trying to take every single moment that I have in weekends or sometime to go. I have been in the north, in Leh, in Ladakh, in Kerala, in Kanyakumari, in Jaisalmer, but now I have to go to the other side. I have been in Kolkata, of course, 3 times, such a beautiful and cultural city. I still have to go to the Seven Sisters, which is part of my next journey, hopefully soon.
Wow. Amazing. So your friends gave you a lot of tips. What tips are you going to give us? The must-see experiences for Indian travelers visiting Guatemala. Top 3.
3. Okay. The first.
5. We could do 5.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, the first one, of course, to visit Guatemala City. It's a modern city with a lot of heritage that you will visit. It's the largest city in Central America with 2 million of inhabitants, population. The next one will be Antigua, Guatemala, which is a colonial city located approximately 1 hour away from Guatemala City. The third one will be Tikal, which is the one that you saw. It's in the forest, in the tropical forest. The fourth one, and I have my compatriot here, it will be Quetzaltenango, Xela, which is the second largest city of Guatemala, with beautiful traditions located in the highlands in the country. And the fifth one will be go and visit for the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. We have a beautiful coast in the Caribbean and a beautiful surfing beaches in the south that are from volcanic ashes, because also we have 33 volcanoes. They're part of the landscape of Guatemala. For good or bad, sometimes they are active, and we have to be very careful with them. However, my government has taken good precautions of putting people in the right side to avoid when there are volcanic explosions to be affected. Happily, they are safe, so there's no problem of hiking them. But this is, I would say, the 5 tips that I can give you at this moment. Yeah.
There could be 15 more, because yes. it's such a beautiful and rich country. Could you also throw some light on any recent collaboration or cultural exchange in music or visual arts or cinema between the 2 countries? The foundation is doing a lot of work in the exchange of art and culture, so we'd like to know it from you.
Well, recently what we have done is bringing some historians and scholars and academics that have been in conferences related with our Nobel Prize that you have seen, Nobel Prize in Literature, Miguel Ángel Asturias. He visited India, as I indicated. He loved this country, but he's one of the main creators of a genre that is called the magical realism. And I have also today Miss Lipi Viswas. She's also from Kolkata, right? No. From Delhi, okay. Delhi, Bengali. But she, with her, we have worked a lot in different universities also, particularly JNU, showing this important figure of the literature in Guatemala. And I'm so impressed about how many Indian scholars and students are so deep into the language, into foreign languages, and the easiness to learn it. when I came here and I listened to many of the professors that are part of the Association of Professors of Spanish in India and in other universities, I said, oh my God, their Spanish is much better than mine. It's so nice. It's to hear. It's so interesting to listen to them because despite being so far away, there is that passion for learning and for studying. And in that sense, that cultural exchange is very strong. So we're doing that. India, I think last year and 2 years ago, they were working with some of the showing of the performing dances of Odisha. And our National Cultural Center in Guatemala City had a couple of performances where the theater was full of people looking for the beauty of the dances of India in our national theater. So it was an amazing experience, and we are also waiting for more of these troops to come to Guatemala. We have to work a little bit more on the cinema because I know
Bollywood, I was about to say,
yes,
of course.
Yes. Guatemala also offers beautiful scenic areas for filming, for cinemas. We have the volcanoes, as I said, the two Pacific and Atlantic Ocean, colonial sites. But it's interesting because I have to tell you, Apra, that recently in the last years, many of the Indians also living in the US or in Canada are coming to Guatemala for organizing the Indian weddings.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, so the Indian weddings are very popular, are becoming more popular than the usual weddings that we had before. Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody wants to wear the Indian attire, the Indian style dresses, and it's so classic and nice that people are very active on that, working. And there are organizations based in the US and also based in Canada that are basically arranging everything for having the Indian weddings in the country. So that's portraying a little bit more what, for example, the Indian friends can come and they celebrate their weddings in Antigua, Guatemala, which is one of the wedding destinations at this moment. Yeah.
Superb. I think, Indian wedding in Guatemala could be a new hashtag. So, last question before we open it for the audience to ask the question. If you had to describe India-Guatemala's friendship in one phrase or feeling, what would it be and why?
Okay, in one phrase.
One phrase or two phrases or a feeling,
Wow, I would say good friends in the good and bad times. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
Super. Good friends in good and bad times.
I have to tell you, for example, during the pandemic of COVID-19, India also helped us a lot. And those gestures of help, of cooperation are not ignored or not forgotten. Guatemala remembers that very well. Our administration knows that very well. And we remember how India, you remember that time of confusion, 2020, everybody was trying to get the vaccines from the vaccines sometimes were not sent. Our population was requesting them, asking for them, and India came and helped us with that. One of the first batch of vaccines came from India, and that helped us a lot to contain the sickness in 2020, so we do not forget that. And of course, the good times, I have to tell you, having been at the UN for a while, the good times when you are working for peace, for security, supporting each other. We know that, for example, our soldiers are the ones that are giving their lives for the cause of peace and security in the world in the most difficult situations. During those times, with your former ambassadors of India at the UN in New York, we worked together for making peace and security important, because we can contribute, both countries, for peace and security in the world in many ways. Yeah.
Many, many more years of this friendship.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
We now open it for the audience. If you have any question or something interesting to share,
pertinent questions you asked.
Thank you.
Which resulted, of course, in Omar giving us so much information on such diverse aspects of Guatemala. And I loved your last question, which caught him off guard, but he really thought and came up with a wonderful reply. Thank you, Omar. And I think several of us have been to the event at the Instituto Cervantes, where you had, of course, your Guatemalan cuisine, as well as a lot of the wonderful weaves, which she is also referred to. We're looking forward to a Guatemalan festival.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Seriously, it would be such fun. We want some of your dobladas and the rum.
Yes. Absolutely.
Needless to say.
Thank you so
no,
much.
it's wonderful. The warmth that you and your colleagues from the embassy have shown, and the information, and really sharing knowledge about your country. That's what you're here for, and you're doing a tremendous job.
Thank you, Giti.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Giti.
So I must share this. I got from Guatemala today what I'm wearing, and you know,
So beautiful.
they do. So beautiful, actually.
I think I have a question. We've heard so much about Guatemala from you, faraway country. A lot of us haven't had the pleasure of going there. But I have a personal question for you. What is your feeling of the Indian experience? It's so different from Guatemala. So something about our country, our culture, our diverse nature, the food, something that you really enjoyed and something perhaps that surprised you.
Well, that's a very interesting question, because in every state that I have been, first of all, I have received with such a warm hospitality everywhere that I go. This is such a beautiful characteristic of all Indian people. Wherever I go, they also they do their best to show their culture, their traditions, and I would say one of the main aspects that touch a little bit more my heart, I would say, was when we were in Kerala last year. Such a beautiful state. But also, I remember there was a very nice tour guide that was showing all the different places, and he told us also that he had some kind of commitments. But he said, well, no, you are coming from far away. I will take my next day off and I will show you all the rest of the different areas in the south. So he took us to Kanyakumari, to Cape Comorin, to some of the temples that were in that area. And I said, well, are you sure? No worries. I can take you. I can take you everywhere that you need. And please, I just want to let you know that I want to make you feel like that you are my honorable guests. Such a nice person, and of course, I was so touched. I said, well, it's also it was a kind of a holiday during that time, because it was post-Diwali, and this person was so nice. So it's so nice, it's so touching. The food is always delicious and interesting. Particularly, I like the seafood. So when I was there in the south, I was so delighted to eat everything what they were giving me. But India is such a diverse country and so nice to see. When you go to the north and you see those majestic mountains and lakes in Leh, in Ladakh, in that zone, or the impressive desert of Jaisalmer on the south, it's just the greenery. And I spent my first Christmas here in Goa. So that was also another great experience to be, because it was a very warm Christmas. After coming from New York, 13 years in a row, yeah, that was such a beautiful time, yes. So I would say that, I really love your hospitality. You are great. You're such a very nice people with a lot of heart and warmth, and that's something also that definitely is part much more of the professional experience of being here is something that I would cherish for the rest of my life. Yes, thank you.
We are good friends in good and bad times, as he said. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Excellency, thanks for a wonderful presentation. Since you, a little bit of harder subjects, I don't, but in the real world. we see India's aspirations to be the leader of the global South, right? Which is not very well defined, as you would understand. There is no. It's a good idea, but what do you see will be the primary considerations, or the global South's what the global South would want to prioritize, under that construct of global South? And then a tricky question related to that: how do you see India, China in that context of global South?
Well, thank you so much. Well, for the first question, I would say in the Global South, as I said at the beginning, we were very grateful as a country of the Global South that India took the leadership for convening these meetings in the context of the presidency of G20. Many ministers participated, and we feel identified and part, for example, of these important conversations of the G20, that at the end of the day, the most important economies, or the main economies of the world, have an impact on the daily lives of all the countries of the Global South first. So I think one of the topics also that has to be prioritized, and this is something that I would say could be a little bit alarming, but it's climate change. Because sometimes among these forums, when you have to talk, for example, at the UN or at global change conferences, sometimes it seems that we're losing time. Now, for example, Guatemala, we are experiencing much more rainy seasons, but rainy, extremely rainy. Hurricanes, and the climate is affecting us all. So also that could have an impact on migration, because people will have to reach for their food, because if there are no crops, if the climate conditions are worsening, then we'll have massive migrations from the south to the north, or vice versa. And even, for example, like big countries, like for example, like the U.S., they have perceived and they have been affected for these terrible floods in Texas some months ago, or 1 month ago. So at the end of the day, it's not only a matter of the global South, it's a matter of us all, But for the global South, are more affected. For example, when you see the SIDS, the small island development states, the ones that basically are surviving on tourism, they are asking or imploring that something has to be done in terms of the responsibility of the big economies of the world to avoid and stop the effects of climate change. Because if we continue this same trend, I don't know what will happen in 20 years. The seas are rising, the situation is worsening, and some of these economies that are totally dependent on tourism and fishery and that are located in the sea, basically are the ones that are going to be more affected. With regard to India and China, well, I have to say, I see, for example, two countries, of course, leaders in this part of the world, but India is a democracy. And democracies can talk, democracies can speak. Leaders of democracy also can speak to other democracies of the world, like my country. We, for example, have just 2 years ago, we ended our electoral process. We have our president, Bernardo Arevalo. But also in these difficult times, I think the most important thing that we can do is for our societal norms is to defend the democracies and the power of people. Yes, if democracy is affected at the end of the day, it's not a perfect system of governance. I think no one is, or there is no a perfect system for governance, but at the end of the day, democracy is the most reliable and the one in we can trust, and in the one in which we can also voice our concerns and the respect for human rights. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So my question is this: India and Guatemala are celebrating over 53 years of diplomatic ties. What would you say is the most transformative milestone in this journey?
Wow. That's a very interesting question. But I would say there are several. I mean, just for example, with the opening of the embassies, it set a trend of friendship and a stronger way of cooperation and to being close. Because like 10 years ago, for example, India did not have many embassies in Latin America and the Caribbean. Now there are more. But we were so happy in Central America to be receiving in Central America, I'm talking from Guatemala to Panama, one of the first embassies that India opened. And we told them, come, we're more than happy to receive you here, yes. I think it was the second embassy opened after the Indian embassy in Panama, yes. So we were happy to receive them. And also everything came after, this decision came basically after our former ambassadors at the UN, the ones that you have saw, former Ambassador Hari Puri and former Ambassador Gary Rosenthal, decided this is the time for opening our embassies because the cooperation and the good relation that we have is growing. So let's do it. Before, India used to cover Guatemala from Mexico, from Mexico, yes. Yeah, and also many of the topics of the relation were discussed through the permanent missions in New York. But now here, with the opening of the embassies in our respective countries, I think this is the most important, or one of the most important milestones that we have in the 53 years of relations, because we are assuring that we have a commitment of friendship, of collaboration to continue working together. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Solares, for gracing us with a truly captivating and thought-provoking session. On behalf of Prabha Khaitan Foundation, I, Rachna Seth, extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest of the evening, Ambassador Solares, and to our conversationalist, Apra Kuchhal, for guiding us through such an enriching and insightful dialogue. A special note of thanks for our presenting partners, Smartworks, and our hospitality partner, the Connaught, for their generous support in making this evening seamless and memorable. To our wonderful audience, your presence, enthusiasm, and engagement brought life to this evening. Your active participation made this gathering truly special. At the Foundation, we are deeply committed to fostering cross-cultural understanding and appreciation of India's diverse and vibrant heritage. In this spirit, we are delighted to felicitate our guests with tribal bamboo masks from Northeast India. These handcrafted bamboo masks pay tribute to the rich artistic traditions of the Northeast, particularly to the skilled artisans of Nagaland, Assam, and Meghalaya. Traditionally used in rituals and festivals like the Hornbill Festival, these masks carry deep symbolic meaning representing ancestral rites, animals, and mythological beings. Their bold forms and organic materials reflect centuries of storytelling, spiritual reverence, and cultural identity. More than a memento, this gift is a celebration of creativity, resilience, and the enduring spirit of the Northeast, an emblem of the unity and diversity that lies at the heart of our nation. May I request our wonderful Ehsaas woman, Dipali ji, to kindly felicitate Ambassador Solares, and each attendee will also receive a card detailing the significance of this memento and sharing more about the work and the vision of the Prabha Khaitan Foundation. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.